What's up, everybody? We're back for another episode of our weekly Q&A. You know, one of the things that's really cool for me is I love just seeing the evolution of your questions. You guys are smart. You guys are talented. We are seeing some improvements over time. By the way, I'm rocking some Super Nintendo Aquatic Ambiance Donkey Kong Country. So if you guys are Super Nintendo fans, you will recognize that music. I just find it helps me chill out when I'm working. Quick little announcement. I've had a bunch of you guys asking me about the mastermind. I'll tell you how to know if it's a good fit for you or not. There's a video, by the way. If you're interested, just send me a PM. I'll send you the video. Like, we don't do sales calls or anything like that, but there's three things really it'll help you do. One is stand out from the noise and get clients. Two is keep those clients for a long time. And then three is build the delivery infrastructure so that you have systems and processes to ultimately remove yourself so that your agency delivers value, but it's not you doing it. I'm about to stress test this in my own agency in a big way because I'm about to have a third child in 2 months. So, I'm going to take some time off and just properly welcome my newborn. So we'll see how that all goes and be a fun time. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'll send you a video. Otherwise, let's get into the good stuff. I'm just going to turn the music down just a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A featuring Frankie Finn. That's an old 1990s wrestling. Let's get into the questions here. Enough shenanigans. Chris says, is it still possible to break into Facebook ads in this economy? What are your guys' thoughts? Chris, Facebook ads are a tool, and as far as like people being interested in the tool for the sake of the tool's sake, that ship has definitely sailed. Okay, so there's a lot of interest where people want to do TikTok ads, for example, right now. That's an exciting ship, right? So people want to jump aboard that. For now, anyway. It'll crash because, marketers will saturate it and ruin everything like they ruin everything. But I'll tell you what never fucking goes out of style, which is picking a niche of people and being able to generate a result for that niche of people. So, for example, lawyers will never get tired of getting high-volume cases. If you can do that with Facebook ads, you can sell Facebook. Dentists will never get tired of high-value patients if you can do that. Coaches will never get tired of high-value masterminds if you can sell that with Facebook ads. So think about your tool as a means to deliver a result. If you have a group of people and you have a result, you can almost always stand out from the noise because everybody else is selling Facebook ads and guaranteed return on ad spend. And those things were probably a lot more popular 8 years ago. But what never goes out of style is here's a group of people, here's a result I can generate you. They're always going to want that result, especially if you can focus on a sub niche that's really, really high value, as I call it, the $100 bill and the nickel. If you can focus on the highest value product or service that your niche offers, yes, Facebook ads work today. Like anything else. Nicola says, which services do you think have the highest value? Nicola, this kind of little add-on for the last question. I have a concept I call the nickel. The nickel's down here, I should say, and the $100 bill. When we generate leads for businesses, there's this tendency to think that they're all created equal, and they're really not. If you look at a roofing, for example, sometimes roofers get called to do a little repair hole, and they got to patch a hole this big, and it takes them, 20 minutes, and they charge, I don't know, $50 to $100 for it. Sometimes roofers get called to do $150,000 commercial jobs. All things being equal, which one of those do you think they want more of? So one of the key questions I like to ask my clients is, which kind of clients do you wish you had more of? Or which kind of patients or which kind of customers do you wish you had more of? And almost always the answer to that question is what you should specialize in. If you do that, your thing's always going to be value, and that's going to be the most valuable thing you can do for businesses is to bring them their highest value people, and that never goes out of style in any market. Our man Abul, what's up, brother? We haven't talked in a little while. Has anybody bought those 100 appointments this month packages for your agency? What has been your experience? 100 additional meetings sounds rather stressful to me. You and me both, brother. I don't know why everybody wants a full calendar. I've had a full calendar. It fucking sucks. That seems to be the flavor of the day offer. Everybody's selling booked appointments, booked appointments, booked appointments. Everybody's copying each other. I'll tell you, I have dabbled into that a little bit in the past, and as well, I have some mastermind members who've done it. And my experience is, don't. Dial in your offer and then have somebody else do your own like appointment setting. If you want to bring people, but like people tend to who hire that service do it before their offer is working, so you just get a bunch of appointments that go nowhere. It's a lot of work, and most of the phone calls are like people who are 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. You can practically feel their arms crossed when they're talking to you, because if they just got an email and the email says, hey, jump on a call with me, they're not necessarily ready to buy your shit. So I have a little temperature taking system I do. I don't jump on the phone ever with anybody unless they're 7 out of 10. Now we don't even jump on the phone with them at all unless there's like a last minute question or whatever. I call them 6-minute strategy sessions. But as a general rule, you don't want to chase people who are 2 and 3 out of 10 to work with you. Like, that's inefficient business in my mind. That means you got to do more pre-selling. Less appointments, but better is my saying. That's the result. Killian says, who is the best expert when it comes to hiring, managing, and leading a remote team? Killian, I learned probably 90% of what I know from a guy named John Jonas. Like, literally consume everything the guy puts out there. He's got a ton of, you can actually learn how to do it from his free shit. Like, I've never, other than for his onlinejobs.ph, like posting to hire, I've never actually paid him money directly. So but check out his free stuff. I'm telling you, it'll change the way you look at it, especially understanding like remote workers and where they're coming from. That's the guy that you want to pay attention to. Johnny says, when hiring someone to run your Facebook ads, do they need admin access to the page, or is it enough to select the editor or advertiser option? Just trying to avoid getting kicked out of my own page if they have admin access. Johnny, I've had that happen, by the way, where I get kicked out of my own page, it gets hacked or whatever. You can always contact Facebook support. They're slow as fuck and they're terrible, but eventually they will restore it. Having said that, for your question, it's enough to give them advertiser or editor access. You don't have to make them a page admin. Jack's got a deep question here. Jack says, hey guys, I'm new to the group. I have a Facebook IG ads agency currently servicing 3 clients across 3 different industries. We're at $25,000 monthly recurring revenue currently, but have no lead generation system and haven't decided on a niche. This is because our biggest client is in SaaS, kind of, but in a very, very niche customer service SaaS legal niche. I have used CrunchBase to build a list of targeted companies, all with over 100,000 monthly views to their site and 10 to 25 employees, and Series A or beyond funded. AK definitely would have the budget for paid ads. And I found 2 companies running paid ads from the near 50 I looked at. So it doesn't appear that this would be the right niche to go after. As such, I'm interested in pivoting to another niche. I see many people from this group seem to be having strong success with offline businesses like lawyers, roofers, renovation, dentists, etc. What would you guys recommend I do to determine an industry to go after? I've gone through this niche identification training, and from the industry size, total addressable market, and average order value, home remodeling, kitchens, etc. look great until I Googled the profit margins, which look pretty poor, and I couldn't find any remodeling companies that are running Facebook ads. One of my business mentors says, if a business is too hard, you're playing the wrong game. I'm more than willing to put in the work, but not sure what the right play is here. So I'm wondering, what do you all think is the next logical step for us to take? Any and all thoughts would be greatly appreciated. Jack, I also saw another comment from you where it looks like what you're looking to do is kind of have like a McDonaldized one solution offer so it scales better. It sounds like right now you're doing a lot of work as the media buyer. I get that. Here's the thing with choosing a niche is people look for the first qualification as do they have money? And what I'll tell you is having... I originally thought some niches have money, some don't. But the truth is there wouldn't be a niche if there wasn't money in it. And every single niche has a spectrum. There are broke roofers. There are $100,000 roofing companies. There are broke lawyers. There are billion-dollar legal company or legal businesses, right? There are struggling SaaS companies, and there are wealthy SaaS companies. There are broke e-commerce companies. And there are rich e-commerce companies, often with a spectrum in between. And I'll tell you what I look for, and this is a big secret. I have a concept I call the shoe buyers idea, and it's I don't look for companies that theoretically have money. I look for companies that are spending their money actively today to grow. So you mentioned 2 of those companies are spending on Facebook ads. I wouldn't look for companies that have funding and employee size and all. I would look for companies that are actively spending money today in one form or another, which means websites, Facebook ads, SEO, Google ads, and so forth like that, right? I want to see that they're actually valuing growth today, and they have the ability and capacity and are in fact spending money. So I wouldn't necessarily like look for all those other metrics. They can be indicators, but I'll tell you, I just look for, are they spending money or not? Like, I keep it very, very simple. Now, having said that, when you go into a niche, what most people look for is this false idea, like which niches have money, and I want to dispel that myth, because every niche has money, right? If you aim for the top part of every niche, there's money. But what I would suggest is not every niche is going to have your passion and your drive. And what I think is an underrated part of choosing a niche is it going to be fun for me? Like, would I actually enjoy delivering it? Because I'll tell you, just from my experience, an unfun business, which I've built, is really hard to grow. Every day feels like pushing a boulder uphill. And you can do it, by the way. I've done it. So I'm not like telling you can't. Like my first agency, my SEO agency, fucking hated it, but was highly successful at what I hated. Now, having said that, you can also build an agency that's fun. And the biggest thing that will make the difference for whether or not it is fun is who you choose. And I usually look for people where my experiences could be beneficial. So like when I worked a little bit with, like, we dabbled in lots of niches. We worked with roofers, we worked with doctors, I've been with plastic surgeons. And what I found is I kind of related to them, but not at the same time. Like roofers, I've never worked with my hands. I got little girl hands, if you can see. They're like little tiny, soft, girly hands that work on a computer. And a lot of the like roofer types, they would like go out and get drunk on a Friday night and not answer calls on Saturday morning. And, you know, they're cool people, but I didn't understand that from a business perspective. I had come from a corporate background, so I had meetings and pointless meetings, I should mention, and phone calls and bureaucracy and paperwork and spreadsheets and thankless clients. And so when I started working with lawyers, they had all of those things too. And also, like, one thing we have in common is lawyers and marketers inherit a bad reputation as a general rule. So this is my way of saying, where is your passion? Where is your drive? Where are the people who are like you? They don't necessarily have to be like exactly like you, but where you show up with a great deal of empathy, where it would actually be fun to help them. Because what you'll find is that kind of business is just way easier to grow because you give a shit, and you can't fake giving a shit. And you won't have give a shit in every niche. Like, you just won't. So that would actually be my first question. And by the way, I'll post a link to this and tag you in it, but we just created a niche. I just updated my niche selection document. It has a lot of deep questions because it's a really important question, like which niche should I go into? But you get that right, and what you'll find is everything's easier with the right niche. Everything's kind of like pushing a boulder uphill if you make that decision wrong. And the biggest thing that will make a difference is, do you like the who? I always look at it like, if these people weren't paying me, would I enjoy having them over for dinner? And the coolest clients I've ever had, the answer is always yes. Like, if they told me I'm down the street, I'd be like, come on over. I've had plenty of clients over the years where if they were across the street, I would build a wall, right? So you want clients that are like basically what I call like friends with money. So who are the friends with money for you? That's a good place to start. And then you can build a unique solution. You can evaluate their problems and symptoms and build something that's meaningful and valuable for them. But start with somebody you're going to give a shit about, that you're going to enjoy working with, and you'll find that the whole thing gets a lot easier. Billy says, I have a great offer for the Loom strategy. It's essentially a quiz funnel for finance broker websites that beats a traditional contact form, but my target client doesn't have an email address on their contact page, just their P.O. box address. How do you get around this? I'm thinking of sending a traditional direct mail letter. Billy, you can send a traditional direct mail letter. I just want to caution you a little bit. One of the things I look for is what business owners are paying us more for, and this is hard to wrap your head around in the beginning, but they are paying us more to buy their way out of their existing problems than they are to buy their way into our solution. So let me say that again, because that's a writer downer. Is they're buying their way out of their problems and their situation more than they're buying their way into their solution. And so one of the things I look for to tell whether I'm in the ballpark, like when I'm guessing, is this a problem they want to be solving? Or usually I should say symptom, because they don't understand the deeper level stuff. The first question I ask myself is, how like frequently are they dealing with this problem? And then the second question I ask myself is, how emotional are they likely to be about it, right? Because like I deal with brushing my teeth every day, but I'm not emotional about it. So like if somebody had a better way of brushing my teeth, I probably wouldn't care, right? So I want something that they're thinking about a lot and that is very emotional for them. Now, having said that, their contact form is unlikely to be that. These people don't really think about their websites that much, and if they do, they certainly aren't like thinking about the contact form. So you want to put that in terms of how that is meaningful in their reality. Like if they're, for example, if one of the things they're getting are tire kickers, where people are like contacting them on their form, but they're wasting their time. If you have a way to screen the tire kickers using a contact form, that immediately makes it more appealing than just saying, I have a contact form. So don't skip that step, because otherwise you'll reach out to somebody who just won't give a shit, regardless of whether you do it by email or direct mail. Having said that, if they got a P.O. box, you can send a letter with click to mail for $1. That's what we do, is we send our direct mail stuff using click to mail. It's the number 2, click to mail.com. Send a letter and you'll be amazed. It's a pretty easy system. It works. I've picked up lots and lots of clients over the years with direct mail. So that's how I would suggest the logistics of reaching them. But make sure your contact form is tied to something that is emotional that they regularly experience in their reality, or they're just not going to care. Matt says, I don't know if this is asking too much, but I'm desperate and need help. Does anyone care to share an example Loom video that worked for them? We've got lots of training and stuff on the Loom videos, Matt. But I'll tell you, when you're in a situation where you're desperate, usually like you need money by the end of the week or the end of the month, the worst thing you can do is try and start a sales process, because sales to me is it's building relationships at scale, and it's often like, I compare it to planting a garden. It's hard to understand this, but only like 3 to 5% of your market is going to buy today, which means if you contact 20 people, one of them may buy today, but the other 19 will come in the follow-up because they're simply just not ready because of life circumstances, things like that. Often one of my mentors calls these trigger points, in the same way that like everybody knows that's overweight, that they want to lose weight. But when a trigger point happens, like, hey, they find out they just booked a vacation and they're going to be in their bikini, or they booked or they just have a wedding upcoming and they know they're going to have to fit into a wedding dress, suddenly that trigger point causes them to do something. So they may not have hit their trigger point yet with doing that. So to me, it's a bad strategy to need a sale by Friday. So what I do is just offer people help. And it's very, very simple. I posted the script for you, but for anyone who hasn't seen that and is just seeing here, the script is really, really simple. It just says, hey, I know you're really busy doing what you're doing. Do you need any, it looks like you have a lot of work on your plate. Do you need any help taking any of that work off your plate? Is there anything I can do for you? I'm pretty good with A, B, and C. And you're not going to get like millions of dollars doing this, but you can make $500 to $1,000 a week just reaching out to people and offering to do the things they don't want to do. You would be amazed that, oh, I got this video, or I got this tech problem. Like, I've had people over the years reach out to me like that over and over. Typically it's between $50 and $1,000 depending on the scope of work, and I always, like, whenever I can, give them work. And it's like, it works because, hey, is there anything you don't want to be doing right now? Oh yeah, I don't really want to be doing this. Okay, that's the fastest way to get cash if you need like fundraising today. Having said that, when you get a little more stable ground footing, you can pay your bills, start sales prospecting. This is really key, is consistency with your sales process. Rain or shine, put seeds in the ground and water them. Like, if you compare growing relationships in your sales process like a garden, always be planting seeds and always be watering. And if you do that, you'll end up with some plants that sprout in 3 days and some plants that sprout in 6 months, some plants that take 2 years. But nonetheless, it's hard for people to understand when they reach out to people. Some of those people will come back 6 and 12 months later if you handle them correctly. So I hope that's helpful for you. Use that script, get a little cash flow, and then use the Loom video training to get some new people. Christopher says, I'm having a very, very difficult and frustrating time playing the cat and mouse game with contractors. Masonry contractors are my niche. I get contractors who give me a verbal commitment to use my services, and then it stalls there. They don't return messenger messages. I can see they read them, or they're not answering any calls or texts, and this is several of them. I don't know what to do. I honestly want to tell them off, but that's not going to do any good for anyone. I don't know how often to follow up with them, and if I do, I'll look too desperate. Really need some advice here because it's killing me inside. Christopher, I can see 3 potential issues that are happening, and if I had to guess, as an educated guess, I would say it's the first one. Okay, so I've mentioned earlier, in every niche, there's a spectrum. I actually did some work with roofers who are very similar to masonry contractors. I call them the redneck niches. If you work with like a single contractor who actually does the work, it's very, very rare that person has a business mindset, and so they have like priorities like getting drunk on the weekend, going to hang with their buddies, barbecue, NASCAR. Like, I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but it's kind of true at the same time. And so what I've found is if you're approaching contractors who don't currently spend money on advertisements and are trying to convince them to do it, and they do the work themselves, you're just going to have misery after fucking misery after misery, because you're aiming for the bottom part of the market, which is the most difficult to convince, is the brokest. So I experienced this. I remember I was working with a roofer named Eddie the Roofer. I couldn't give Eddie the Roofer money. I remember actually, like, we generated a phone call, and like him and his wife argued for like 7 minutes while the guy was on hold. Like, true story. Eddie, come answer the fucking phone, right? Like, I can still remember that phone call. And Dan, my buddy, actually stuck with roofers. A couple weeks later, or it might have been a couple months, but anyway, later he got a roofer who owned a $100 million roofing company, had 30 locations or 30 crews, 7 locations, was over multiple states, already paying for advertisement, got business, came to a meeting with them in a McLaren, which is $1 million car, sat down, plopped down $10,000, said, "I'm here to spend money. What's it going to take to get you?" Okay, that's what happens when you aim for the top part of the market. So if I had to take one educated guess, you're aiming for the brokest segment of the market, which is going to cause you misery and headaches. So I just look for, if you're going to go after masonry contractors, who's already spending money, who's already actively in the game, who's got multiple crews, who's growing. Don't go after the guy who gets on the fucking roof himself, because he'll drive you fucking crazy. That's my experience. They just don't have the entrepreneur mindset. They're just trying to get enough work to keep them busy. And the way the COVID hysteria has worked, a lot of them are busy. So if I had to guess, and there could be an overlap of issues, but if I had to guess, you're just going after the wrong fucking people, and therefore like creating a lot of misery for you. Thing number 2, which is possible, which is you're showing up with desperate energy and pushing people away with like, like when salespeople get overly like pushy because they need it. I call it commission breath. If you're showing up with commission breath, they can feel it. Like if you're overly anxious to get started and collect the money, they can feel it, and it makes them hesitate. You almost have to relax and just treat sales like another link in the chain. Like, okay, you're going to send the payment link, and then after that, this link in the chain is going to come next. If you're coming across with desperate energy, you'll type desperate, you'll send messages, your proposals will be desperate. So they could be ghosting you just on the basis of like, you're giving them reason to hesitate. That could be reason number 2. And reason number 3 is that I could see a potential issue is that your onboarding process is really fucking complex and convoluted and turns people off. Like, I've had people say, okay, let's get started. I need you to fill out these 17 forms, and I need access to this, and watch this 5 video trainings and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm a busy, successful entrepreneur. I just don't have time for that shit. So the minute you tell me like there's a lot of fucking work, it goes to the bottom of the fucking pile, right? So it could be that whatever you're asking them to do is too complex and therefore is creating friction, and then you're getting ghosted in that process. It could be a combination of all 3, right? Like, you could be going after the bottom brokest segment of the market. You could also be giving them desperate energy, and it could be complex. But if I had to take an educated guess, it would probably be scenario number 1, which is that you're just going after the wrong fucking people. Like 60% of agency success comes down to who you select as clients. And I use the word select because everyone thinks that like all dentists are created equal, or all masonry contractors are created equal, or all lawyers. And I'll tell you, do this for 5 years, and not so. There is a spectrum. Trying to help the bottom of the market is sometimes damn near impossible because they don't answer the phone, they don't call people back, they don't have a business sense, they're scared to spend money. Sometimes helping the top segment of the market is really fucking easy because they have lots of leverage points, and they have movement, and they have processes, and they have resources, and they want already what you want, which is why they're spending money on growth. So chances are you're probably just aiming too low in your market, and you're making yourself very, very miserable in the process. Hope that helps, my friend. Michael says, what reporting tool do you use for your clients? Michael, I spent 7 years experimenting with SEO reporting tools. I used a lot of them, like lots of them. And what ended up happening is clients would say to me after years and years of doing this. So firstly, I started with custom reports, made all my own. And then I started using like auto-generated tools because they could show rankings, and they made charts and pretty graphs and things like that. And I remember my clients would say, about 50% of them would say, hey, this looks really nice. What does it mean? Like, what's being said here? And 50% of my clients said nothing. And I learned after, in hindsight, by the way, that they didn't understand it either. They didn't know what they were buying from me, because if you send them a report and they don't understand the report, even if it looks pretty and nice, they don't know what they actually just bought from you. It makes it very, very hard to keep a client happy and trusting you if they don't know what they bought from you. So one day I had a client say, like, can you just explain this to me in English? And so I fired up, like, what Camtasia or Jing was called, which is like the modern day equivalent or the old day equivalent of Loom for us dinosaurs. And I just made a little screen capture video, and I said, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's how it's going, and here's what you can expect next. Let me say that again. Here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's how it's going, and here's what you can expect next. So like those 4 things. And I summarized it in like 2 minutes. Like, we're not talking about like a super long video or anything. It was 2 minutes long. And the client thanked me. And so I switched over for that particular client to doing videos. And it didn't clue in right away, but I was like, why don't I just do this video for all my clients? And you would be amazed that if you just tell clients, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's how it's going, and here's what we can expect next, clients will understand what they're buying from you. So my reporting system for many, many years has just been, on every second Friday, I record a 2-minute Loom video for all my clients. I mail them out, and I send an update. Here's how we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's how it's going. And here's what we can expect next. You would be amazed. Clients fucking love it because they understand now what they're buying, what's going on. In plain English, what's happening. So instead of saying, here's an SEO thing with charts and blah, 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 I'd say, hey, here's what we're doing. This month, I've been building shitloads of fucking backlinks for you because I'm trying to get after these big money keywords. Why we're doing that? These are the big money keywords. These were like 1,000 people a month are searching for to spend money on what you do. How's it going? Well, last month we were 19. This month we're 13. So we're moving in the right direction. Still not all the way there, but we're seeing the progress in the right direction. Well, we can expect next month. We're at 13 now, so where I'd like to get is to the bottom of the first page, like 10, 9, something like that. I'll keep you posted. That's our goal, is as long as we keep moving in the right direction. That's a way better report, by the way, than pretty graphs and charts. So I would suggest get away from the tools and get back the human element. Yes, it takes you 2 minutes longer, but where it'll save you time, firstly, is that you won't have meetings, you won't have phone calls, you won't have requests, because clients will understand what they're actually buying from you. So that's been my experience with that. So hope that's helpful to you. Just a little announcement for those of you guys who missed the intro. I had a lot of you guys ask me about the mastermind. We're filling up pretty quickly. I've decided to expand it a little bit because I love you guys. I love helping you guys, but I also don't like, I've got a kid coming in. I'm busy. I got an agency too. We're buying land. I'm a busy dude. So I don't want to drown myself to the point where I can't actually be useful to you guys. So if you're interested in that, I got a little video. I'll send it to you. I'll tell you where it'll be useful to you. If you've got a couple clients already, and what you want to do is get it to the point where the client and lead flow, and I should say incoming sales of clients, is consistent, and you have something to differentiate you and an offer that's easy to say yes to make your sales process a whole bunch easier. Then setting it up so your clients stay a long time. It's a very underrated part of running an agency, is having clients stay the long term. And then systematizing and organizing the delivery in such a way where you can get yourself out of the agency work and deliver it. If you guys are interested in that, I got a video. Just let me know. I'll send it to you. There's nothing you have to do. Like, there's no hoops to jump through, whatever. I'll just send you the video. Send me a PM. That's all I got for you guys this week. So much love for you guys. And may the force be with you.